Welcome to Huberman Lab Essentials, where we revisit the most potent, science-based tools for optimizing mental health, physical health, and performance. I'm Andrew Huberman, a professor of neurobiology and ophthalmology at Stanford School of Medicine. Today's episode is a deep dive into the science of emotions, with a particular focus on stress, a phenomenon often misunderstood but central to our emotional and physiological experience. By the end of this discussion, you'll have a clear organizational framework for understanding emotions, a detailed understanding of stress, and practical tools grounded in neuroscience and physiology to navigate life's challenges and support those around you. Emotions and stress, a foundational perspective at first glance. Stress might not seem like an emotion. We typically associate emotions with states like happiness, sadness, anxiety, or depression. However, stress is intimately tied to how our internal state, our brain and body, aligns or misaligns with external events. This interplay shapes what we experience as emotions. For instance, a tight deadline might trigger a racing heart and anxious thoughts, while a joyful reunion might spark warmth and calm. Stress, as we'll explore, is the engine that amplifies or modulates these emotional experiences. The goal of this episode is to provide you with an organizational logic, a framework for understanding emotions and stress that demystifies their complexity. Rather than viewing emotions as abstract or uncontrollable, we'll see them as products of hardwired biological mechanisms. You'll learn tools that require no prior training or neuroplasticity, leveraging systems already present in your brain and body to manage stress in real time, enhance resilience, and support others, whether you're a parent, partner, practitioner, or simply navigating a busy life. Let's start by redefining stress and its role in our emotional landscape. What is stress? Stress is often portrayed as a villain, with warnings about its impact on health and images of shrunken brains in stressed individuals. While chronic stress can indeed be harmful, this narrative oversimplifies a system that's both powerful and essential. Stress is a generalized physiological response designed to mobilize the brain and body for action. It's not tailored to specific threats like predators or modern-day deadlines. Rather, it's a versatile system that activates in response to any perceived challenge, whether physical, psychological, or environmental. The stress response involves the nervous system, which includes the brain, spinal cord, and connections to bodily organs like the heart, gut, liver, and spleen. These organs don't just receive signals from the brain, they communicate back, creating a dynamic brain-body dialogue. Your gut might clench during stress, or your heart might race, signaling the brain to adjust its response. This bidirectional communication is why stress feels so visceral and why understanding it unlocks powerful control points. Stress can be triggered by physical stressors, e.g., extreme cold, injury, or illness, or psychological ones, e.g., work overload, social conflicts, or financial worries. Regardless of the source, the body responds with a core system that prepares you to act. This universality gives stress its strength, but also its controllability, because it relies on predictable biological mechanisms, cells, chemicals, and pathways. We can use targeted tools to modulate it effectively. The acute stress response, mechanisms and dynamics to harness stress. We need to understand the acute short-term stress response, which unfolds in seconds to minutes when a stressor hits. Imagine you narrowly avoid a car accident or receive an urgent work email. Your body responds instantly. The process begins with the sympathetic chain ganglia, a group of neurons running from your neck to just below your navel along your spine. These neurons act like a rapid response team, firing in unison when a stressor is detected. This activation is fast, like dominoes falling, and releases acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter that triggers the next phase. Specialized neurons, called postganglionic neurons, respond to acetylcholine by releasing epinephrine adrenaline into specific organs. Epinephrine binds to beta receptors on tissues like your heart and leg muscles, causing blood vessels to dilate and blood to rush in. Your heart rate accelerates, breathing quickens, and muscles tense, preparing you for movement. This is why you feel pumped or agitated during stress. Your body is primed to do something. At the same time, epinephrine binds to other receptors on non-essential systems, like digestion or reproduction, signaling them to pause. Blood is diverted away from your gut or reproductive organs, which are luxuries in a crisis. This two-pronged response activating systems for action and suppressing others explains why stress feels both energizing and disruptive. You might feel a surge of energy in your limbs, but a knot in your stomach. The stress response is action-oriented, rooted in our evolutionary need to survive threats. In modern life, where stressors are often abstract, e.g., emails, social pressures, this urge to move can feel overwhelming or misplaced. The key to managing stress lies in working with this agitation rather than resisting it, using tools that align with its biology. Tool 1, the physiological sigh for real-time stress relief. Let's introduce a powerful, science-backed tool for calming stress in real time, the physiological sigh. This technique leverages the interplay between your brain, diaphragm, lungs, and heart, offering one of the fastest ways to reduce stress without stepping away from life's demands. How it works: the physiological sigh exploits the relationship between breathing and heart rate, mediated by the sympathetic stress, activating and parasympathetic calming nervous systems. Here's the mechanism in detail. Inhalation dynamics. When you inhale, your diaphragm, a skeletal muscle beneath your lungs, moves downward, expanding your lungs and chest cavity. This creates more space, allowing your heart to expand slightly. Blood flows more slowly through this larger space, and the sinoatrial node, a group of neurons in the heart, detects this change. The node signals the brain, which responds by speeding up the heart rate to maintain circulation. Thus, longer or more vigorous inhales increase heart rate, amplifying alertness and stress. Exhalation dynamics. When you exhale, the diaphragm moves upward, compressing the chest cavity and making the heart slightly smaller. Blood flows more quickly through this compact space, and the sinoatrial node signals the brain again. The brain activates the parasympathetic nervous system, slowing the heart rate via the vagus nerve and promoting relaxation. Longer or more vigorous exhales reduce heart rate, calming the body. The physiological sigh combines these dynamics in a specific pattern, a double inhale followed by a long exhale. Here's how to perform it. Double inhale. Take a deep inhale through your nose, filling your lungs to near capacity. Then, sneak in a second, shorter inhale to maximize lung expansion. This reinflates the tiny air sacs alveoli in your lungs, which can collapse under stress, trapping carbon dioxide and increasing agitation. Long exhale. Exhale slowly and fully through your mouth, emptying your lungs over several seconds. This prolonged exhale enhances parasympathetic activation, slows your heart rate, and expels excess carbon dioxide, reducing restlessness. Why it's effective: the double inhale reinflates collapsed alveoli, improving oxygen exchange and reducing carbon dioxide buildup, which contributes to stress-related agitation. The long exhale activates the parasympathetic system, directly counteracting the sympathetic stress response. This makes the physiological sigh uniquely effective for calming the body in seconds, often faster than traditional relaxation techniques. Practical applications: perform 1-3 physiological sighs when you feel stressed, anxious, or overwhelmed. Examples include: during a tense meeting, discreetly do a double inhale through your nose and a slow exhale through your mouth to stay calm. After a stressful event, if you've had an argument or received bad news, take a moment for 2-3 sighs to reset. In panic moments, if you're spiraling, the sigh can ground you by slowing your heart rate and clearing excess carbon dioxide. Expect your heart rate to take 20-30 seconds to return to baseline. You may need to repeat the sigh a few times for full effect. Unlike meditation or yoga, which require dedicated time, the physiological sigh works in real time, making it ideal for high-pressure situations. A natural mechanism. You've likely done physiological sighs spontaneously. Think of the hiccuping, breaths after crying, or the deep sighs when relaxing. These are your body's natural attempts to reset. By doing them deliberately, you harness this built-in mechanism to control stress on demand. The diaphragm, controlled via the phrenic nerve, is a remarkable organ because its both involuntary breathing happens automatically and voluntary. You can adjust it consciously, giving you direct access to your nervous system. Stress across 3 timescales, short, medium, and long term. To fully grasp stress and its role in emotions, we must consider it across 3 timescales: short-term, acute, medium-term, days to weeks, and long-term, months to years. Each has distinct effects, benefits, and risks, requiring tailored strategies. Short-term stress, a powerful ally. Short-term stress, lasting seconds to hours, is often misunderstood but highly beneficial when managed well. When adrenaline surges, say during a presentation or a near-miss accident, it primes your body and brain for action. Cognitive sharpening, adrenaline narrows your focus, enhancing duration. Path outcome analyses, quick evaluations of what to do next. This is why you feel mentally sharp in a crisis, able to prioritize and act decisively. Immune boost. Adrenaline mobilizes immune cells, particularly from the spleen, to combat infections. Short-term stress can help fend off bacterial or viral threats, a fact often overlooked. Physical readiness. Blood rushes to muscles, heart rate increases, and pupils dilate, preparing you for movement or reaction. A landmark study in Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences USA demonstrated this immune-boosting effect. Participants were injected with a bacterial endotox in mimicking infection and divided into 2 groups. One group performed a breathing protocol involving 25-30 cycles of rapid inhales and exhales similar to Wim Hof or Tummo breathing, followed by a breath hold. This superoxygenation breathing released adrenaline, mimicking the stress response. Remarkably, the breathing group experienced minimal symptoms, no fever, nausea, or vomiting, compared to the control group, showing that short-term stress can suppress infection symptoms by mobilizing the immune system. Tool 2. Superoxygenation breathing for immune support. If you're feeling run down or suspect an infection, superoxygenation breathing can mimic the stress response to boost immunity. Here's the protocol. Cycle breathing. Inhale deeply and exhale quickly through your mouth or nose for 25-30 cycles, 1-2 seconds per cycle. This rapid breathing increases adrenaline release from the adrenals. Breath hold. After the final exhale, hold your breath for 15-30 seconds. Repeat. Perform 2-3 rounds, resting briefly between rounds. Safety note: never do this near water or if you have conditions like glaucoma, high blood pressure, or pulmonary issues, as breath holds can cause dizziness or fainting. Consult a doctor before trying. This tool is not for relaxation, but for harnessing short-term stress to combat infection. Short-term stress is like a sprint, intense but temporary. It's most effective when it doesn't disrupt sleep or persist beyond a few hours. If you're unable to sleep well due to ongoing stress, you're entering medium or long-term stress, which requires different approaches. Medium-term stress, building resilience. Medium-term stress lasts days to weeks. Think of a demanding work project, a family crisis, or exam season. It's a sustained challenge that tests your stress threshold or your capacity to handle pressure without breaking down. Raising this threshold through stress inoculation, deliberately exposing yourself to controlled stress, builds resilience. Tool 3. Stress threshold training with panoramic vision. One effective way to raise your stress threshold is to combine physical activation with mental relaxation, teaching your mind to stay calm while your body is stressed. Here's the protocol. Induce mild stress. Engage in an activity that elevates your heart rate to 80-90% of your maximum, such as sprinting, cycling, a cold shower, or superoxygenation breathing. This mimics the adrenaline surge of stress. Relax the mind while your body is activated. Deliberately calm your mind. One technique is to shift from tunnel vision, a stress-induced narrowing of focus, to panoramic vision. Without moving your head, widen your gaze to take in more of your surroundings. This activates a brainstem circuit that reduces alertness, calming the mind. Practice regularly. Do this once or twice a week, gradually increasing your comfort with high physical activation. Over time, what once felt overwhelming becomes manageable. For example, if you're running and your heart is pounding, dilate your gaze to see the horizon or the edges of your visual field. You'll notice your mind relaxes even as your body works hard. This dissociation, calm mind, active body, builds resilience, allowing you to handle medium-term stress without feeling flooded. This approach is used in sports, military training, and performance psychology to teach composure under pressure. Long-term stress. The silent threat. Long-term stress, lasting months or years, is unequivocally harmful. Chronic elevation of adrenaline and cortisol leads to serious health issues, including heart disease, immune suppression, and brain changes like hippocampal shrinkage, which impairs memory. Type of personalities prone to relentless drive are particularly at risk for heart disease, a leading cause of death globally. Long-term stress often stems from unremitting demands, work, caregiving, financial strain, or unresolved trauma. Its duration, not just intensity, makes it dangerous, as the body never resets. Tools for mitigating long-term stress. Managing long-term stress requires a multifaceted approach. Social connection. Humans are social creatures, and meaningful connections with friends, family, pets, or hobbies release serotonin, a neuromodulator that promotes well-being and buffers stress. Serotonin is released during moments of trust, delight, or play, e.g., laughing with a friend, petting a dog, or enjoying art. These moments strengthen neural connections, support immune function, and counteract stress's erosive effects. Invest time in relationships, even if effortful, as they're a powerful antidote to chronic stress. Foundational practices. Regular exercise, e.g., 150 minutes of moderate activity weekly, adequate sleep 7-9 hours nightly, and a balanced diet rich in whole foods are essential. Exercise reduces cortisol and releases endorphins, while sleep restores the brain and body. Poor sleep signals chronic stress, so prioritize sleep hygiene, e.g., consistent bedtimes, dark environments. Supplements for stress modulation. Ashwagandha. This adaptogenic herb lowers cortisol and anxiety. Take 300-600 mg daily during stressful periods, cycling off periodically to avoid tolerance. Consult a doctor, especially if on medication. L-theanine, found in green tea. L-theanine 1, 100-200 mg, 30-60 minutes before bed, enhances relaxation and sleep by increasing GABA, an inhibitory neurotransmitter. It's also effective for daytime stress reduction. Melatonin in caution. While melatonin in 1-3 mg is popular for sleep, high doses can disrupt reproductive hormones and are not recommended for regular use. Manage light exposure, e.g., dim lights at night to support natural melatonin in production. Combining these tools, e.g., a weekly walk with a friend, daily exercise, and occasional ashwagandha, creates a robust defense against long-term stress. Emotions and stress. The bigger picture. Stress is a gateway to understanding emotions, which arise when our internal state, brain, and body interacts with external events. Stress amplifies or distorts this interaction, making us feel anxious, overwhelmed, or energized, depending on the context. The tools provided: physiological size, superoxygenation breathing, stress threshold training, and social connection empower you to modulate stress and shape your emotional experience. They enable you to ground yourself when life feels chaotic. Lean into challenges with clarity and resilience. Support others by sharing tools or modeling calm. These tools don't eliminate stress, but harness it. Short-term stress sharpens focus and boosts immunity. Medium-term stress builds resilience. Long-term stress, when managed, teaches prioritization, connection, health, balance.